Perfect design. Troubleshoot, wireframe, spring trap. Autoimmune system, armor up. For the greatest possible result. We prepare the day. To optimize the day, when disk cleaning on the computer, when you're trying to defrag your computer and there's image disk, uh, it sort of decompartmentalizes the disk into areas, and then you can recycle it. And actually, all it takes is a process of literally physically replacing, uh, but stacking the data in a way that opens up for the memory and the thinking process of the computer. Anyway, this type of segmenting telepathically, intuitively as a meditation, let's armor up from within to make our own social class. For the between us is a spark of society, and that's the physics that grants the comprehension of the silver lining of junk DNA, which means we can escape extinction, which is the whispers of these the signs of the times, the apocalyptic heat, the fires, the pandemic. I'm here to fight against all of this bullshit and kill evil. We're gonna work together, armor up from within. So I am the Green Perception Wizard, Hatchpen Heliosphere, speaking with the blue-eyed professional angels. I'm asking you to defrag your disk, and we're going to customize your ZN for a degree to the sunlight for the parable of Earth, the expression post Deadlight's Rose, orientation, a tantamount organizing of your energy to put you into a place where you can be of the utmost service to yourself, to your country, and to the universe. Shroom. Master Source Industry, Startup, Leverett Circle. Shroom. The dragon returns. Through clockwork, through the existence on our garden, a most profound encounter that is factual. We must exist the template it as a source code, as a king planet, to exist the height of Earth, the full comprehension there. So through the societal conversation, the Levitt circle incarnate versus, uh, societal heavyweight champion Trey Parker. So I'm here to work for the production of my company and basically my startup. And I wanted to build some. Let's go into the accelerated learning curve because let's not waste our time. First of all, but is this modern enough? It's just like you guys, we have to get into such a mindset that we're actually blowing the mind of historical change. So make historical change in the universe and the earth. What? Make that into a character, and then boom. Yep, we gotta totally overclock the situation. And I'm pleased to introduce to you guys Little Blue, the ozone replenishment uh, character. And he really does. He really needs. Um, I'm still workshopping on what his name is. Um, Essentially, I want to build some factories that are just pumping straight, factory chemically manufactured ozone, right? And in its gaseous form, we just simply release it into the sky. But what a sight that is! It's like you can see a huge smokestack going ka-chung, ka-chung, like an old picture of a factory, like animated. Uh, but seriously, that's what we want to build right here, and it just pumping it right into the hole. So what I'd like to ask you to do, Trey, is to be the producer who is affording this. It's basically the show about the little ozone, and it's a startup company to basically afford the entire production of the ozone. I think we can defeat wildfires next year if we make this show with gusto. So Hatch is this icon, and you know, adding the special effects, we can really see a hero emerge. American best. Shroom, the Clockwork Man. Armor up from within. Defrag the day. Defrag. So with uh, the the advantage of diagonally is completely different entirely. It's a different dimension because the diagonal abscons from the chemical set in a different way from the blue, where the blue is more of a constant, like the blue sky. It's confirming. It's an energy, and it most certainly revolves around perception. Because what we're doing here is we're raising a family, and that really begins with nurturing the perception. So the value set of the creation model as it moves forward is like the common sense wheel. We're trying to get to the greatest tantamount of how can we be parental, how can we be great, how can we be transformative in a way that will forever honor, like it'll be a huge chapel, a special heaven built just to honor the transformation of our world. Anyway, with the blue eyes, each of these chemicals can be specified in microbots. So if you use paper, designate a special axiom or transformation to your energy wheel so that your icon is manifesting a societal transformation, digestion, or parental sway, like introducing some cities to an area and making it lovely. So society anyway, but you need to work on yourself. So blue perception is for societal levies, um, but they're it's easy enough to be conditioned by the walk and the human condition, and there's a lot of tricky things about having blue eyes because it is a lot of responsibility. It's a shocking color. It's sort of like there, when you just glance out the side of your eye, blue eyes is like, I guess for a blue-eyed person, I'd explain it as like with someone with light up eyes. Like you turn the corner and some people's eyes are like lit up, like brown, like actually illuminant, right? Imagine that, and that there's other people that don't have their eyes light up, and how that looks different. Okay, so that's responsibility in the icon on the most foundational level, and it turns out to be an elemental expression. The perfect circle, the Zen of the leveret. If we can recognize this perfection and produce it, we've mastered the event. And that's what the miracle of financing equates, is that mankind can master the earth, perfect the event of the triangle ascension through the Arm of Cape Cod here. So by harnessing this energy and working with it, the natural expression moving forward will be miraculous, like a societal revolution. And droves of social revolutions just allow it, and it's sort of like a grand party with a bunch of characters at a haunted house. This Master Source Industries Online Exploratory. So I'm talking about producing, or what the Where map had sent me here from Master Source Industries, startup company. I've been working on this for 3 years. In all phases of my life, it confirms and aligns. Sometimes I have deja vu. And I remember split memories from when I had imaginary friends when I was a kid, and I remember today, like, oh, I'm crazy. so then I, so then Millie kind of, stitches it together, and I've sort of like patchwork my lifetime together with amateur time travel and designing like an interior uh, Nova Scotia with the universe images, because there's like a whole different kind of cornucopia that is completely naked. It's really cool. I mean, existing is this is really a really powerful event. It's really good. So, I really want to present the Breathe the Mask XR as a toy, and just be like, this is going to be really fun, and people, and I, you know, because that's what I mean. That's how it works. For us to really survive a plague, we need like a distracting fun toy, like ding, 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 oh look at this little blinking light. All of a sudden, the kids are go through an entire year without infection. Well, that's how you survive the curvature. So I'm talking about parenting these children, armor our soldiers. And so in places where there's a city and it breaks, they have breakout double moo or whatever, this thing's gonna cut through it. But anyway, cyberpunk is a reality as well. And you're talking about like cell phone on your face. This thing has it. So I mean, this is like this is a basic thing. I mean, if we had like little filters and it was like an air purifier, and you're like, well, this just gives you personal space and it filters smog out of it. You know, it's like filters pollens out, so you don't have that allergy reaction. Oh, I like it for that, but it also has games like little avatars on the thing because you know it's interactive. Well, this is a good way for society to advance. My name is Hatchpan Heliosphere. I'm the wizard of Fulregant, Earth True, resident king. Green perception diagonally. I'm the lone wolf, a sort of uh, earth vagabond. And diagonally, because of the strand of the physics that designates the difference between the color bars is fractured in the green span. So it's actually this central point that is zeroed out through infinity, zeroed apart from the chemicals themselves. So green perception is like piercing the veil beyond the chemical energy can like pointing. Like what? Okay, so it's like beyond that. So the green perception is like a wizard of time, whereas the blue perception is more like a wizard of society, but also the perfect individual. That is to say, all the anatomies that we have in the world are is the perfect cake for someone to live there. You know, this is like identity factory, right? But why don't we have people with illuminating eyes, or they're just flashing light eyes? Why is that not happening? I don't know. Well, there's probably some reason. But anyway, we've got the full set here. So be at your best, perfect yourself. And that's how we perfect the day. I'm trying to say, you know, racial confirmation is an interesting thing. Uh, and I'd like to go there because I see superpowers. You know, uh, we were hit by a confusing data beta wave dump from some foul, you know, butthole planet. You know, remember that? I think that was my yep from planet Dingus. A bunch of nightmares. So you know, transcending that diamonds have been manufactured, throwing off the market. You know, so, you know the rate of revealing that had to be revealed by like an asteroid of that had been intentionally crashed and landed after we were hit by a diamond laser. So this is how humanity speaks like a child, being like, "Oh, we only figured out like that diamonds could be manufactured after we got attacked by planet, you know, some slave planet that's like Earth is broken." But they have like a fractal calendar clock, and they're able to beta calendar the conjecture of human society. But then they interfere and be like, "Oh, we're changing the universe, you guys." And Earth is being like, "Oh, my humans don't even know about like their own authorities here," so it's just sort of really frustrating. Anyway, Hatch is sort of this infinite perception character, right? So we need the alpha decks of societal cops, the authority figure, Trey Parker, Matt Stone, to produce Hatch, even though he's totally this vagabond, right? It's like we're producing works of art, but just to be the point, I need to calibrate that we conjecture against the CO2 infection, and then we can introduce little blue, the ozone replenishment theorem, because it's like feeding a leaking tire. We really have to understand that the pollution needs to be removed, okay? But then also the breathe mask stars are there as an aside. I understand that it's overkill to have like a whole your ventilation system on your head. I get it, that's a little bit overkill, but it's relevant. I just want to get towards I want to get towards relevancy. And by the way, like I'm looking forward to traveling in the world and going on a tour, like having like a rock band kind of thing, yeah. Or like it's kind of like a debate team or something. But I will feel so much more comfortable traveling when I have a breathing mask XR because I'd love to go, like if I'm on a plane or something, I just like be playing with the video games. I'm like, oh, this is my beta breather mask project, and I don't know. I feel it's very future. I think it's very future minded because I have a theory about herd immunity and how what we might find is a new type of theory where it's like as long as you stay in your little circle of friends, like you're gonna be okay. And um, but it's like it's a weird like social thing, right? With like amounts of the germs or like how does a germ travel and how does it mutate and when does the behavior change when it mutates? And let's defeat it. We're gonna totally be ahead of it and all this stuff. But I'm just saying there might become in like a year's time from now there might be relevance for like an entertaining full breathing protection unit and it would be like $100 like like this is like something we can afford. All right. But sorry. I'm just talking about like that's like a voice. And I'm like rip 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 because that's a future voice. That's like a voice from 2022. All right. So we need to be the visionaries who are like, oh, this is like a candle in the hell or something. It's like, oh, I mean, it's this is just an idea, and we have to be the types of entities who have the patience to understand like a multi-million dollar production here. And it really aligns the spine of Earth identity to humanity, which solves the identity crisis. And onward, we solve the environmental crisis. The exoskeletal structures, and then bum, 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 all the exoskeletal structures, including the electoral college, will follow and topple. Because people need self-esteem. Like if we can solve for ozone, people have so much self-esteem that we'll tackle the problem with the smog pollution and we'll figure out how to remove it from the air, filter it. We're gonna have confidence, okay? I mean, people are getting lashed right now, and it's just terrible with the fires and the way people are responding to it. I have like a couple good ideas about it, and it's just hard for society to change when I'm being censored. You see how Hatch has a good idea about fighting the wildfires, and how that when that gets censored, it can't reach the right amount of people for it to become popular enough to go into action. The dragon returns. So there's a great story behind all this. Let's become the earth and angels. Let's be our best. What I'm trying to say is like also through your lifetime, you can sort of time travel and you can make one of these winguses be like a time travel turning device for your perception line so your entire lifeline becomes hardwired by a strengthening of your specifications through your identity. That's like customize your soul and then you can change the environment, right? So this is something we'd like to visualize and crack it open. And on my show, I'm gonna have some blue-eyed angels. I hope maybe I could get Trey Parker to voice them. That would be awesome, or get him to do some of the voices. Welcome back, you guys. I'm hoping that this isn't the. I'm hoping. I mean, oh, all right, you guys. I need your help, okay? Because everything's kind of a lot of work. I need you guys to be on board that we can earn a lot of money by through the little blue program, and it's going to change the world. I mean, I don't feel like I need to convince you. I just need to go over some details about what I'm talking about producing it. I don't mean to be talking out of the side of my mouth. I mean to be straightforward. It's a very adult season where all around the world people are expressing themselves in an adult way. That's what I realized this morning when I was looking at the news. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Come on, sleepyhead. But the news, reveals like, people are just pulling their stunts all around the world and doing their utmost. But what I think is really exciting is to replenish the ozone. But really, what needs to happen, and the reason why humanity has this accent, why they're burning oil, why they have an electoral college, and they're kind of stubborn. They're just so zen. Uh, when we produce hatch that actually breaks that pseudo argument, causes a natural revolution, we just harness that wave, and we cure the ozone problem with that effort, and then at length remove the pollution from the sky. And that's like my common sense of how to manage the energy and the phenomenon of Earth with maturity and grace. To introduce the Breathe the Mask XR, I think it's a great relief because people are like, they're inventing something. This is something new. Let's go talk about it. I think that's the best thing to do. So when we're producing that, I want to facilitate surprise parties where when people show up and they're like, oh, they push on the button, it's like it renders in like Dead by Daylight. Like your icons go boom, 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 and it renders in like looking for Dungeon Master. And so it's sort of this dungeon master party thing, and people arrive and they've got and they have to like interact with and they're like, oh, the issue of Breathe the Mask XR is also XR, and just like interacting with your face. And I was thinking of a thing you could go into a place where you have a demo, and you're like, oh, so it's like a light show, and then but then it has like shapes, and then it's interacting with the things you see, and then we're talking about like computerized interfaces, and then like the city could have a computer and it could be talking to you through your virtual mask. And so all this stuff is like relevant to where we're at in 2021, except for we've been expedited by this and we've been broken by this, and this is kind of hanging there, and people are like, what? So, this is really a societal revolution when Trey goes like, oh, Hatch is like this party monster. He's like, this is a party, this has to happen here. And he shoots his commissions and he builds it, but it's also like the Wear map. So there's extra reason, like the Earth spoke to Trey through the Wear map. So there's like, okay, this is like a living Earth thing. That's also what Hatch is like professional about. He's always talking about like, you know, a consciousness aligning of the reason why humanity has advanced so suddenly recently, and why you guys are so smart. Oh my God, you escape your own intelligence by, or let's wait longer. No, it's the thing is urgency. That's the now point. It's like Hatch is this now wizard, and he says like, as soon as we get started, throw me to the wolves, and I'm not leading him. Okay. Thank you so much, Trey. Go back to storytelling with the photograph issues. I mean, I feel like I work really hard on what I do, Trey, and I get to a point where I'm just being professional about the issues. Like basically, I want to get around to replenishing the ozone factory startup, pumping ozone right into the hole. There's a little character mascot, little blue. It's basically just because he's colored blue and he's small, but he kind of needs a name, so I'm workshopping that. Uh, my son, the Vampire King, meditates on royalty and what is the suggestion of life on Earth. What is the identity empowerment? So if you harness it and if you pivot correctly on the authority of Earth, then you can change the environment with authority. You can't just sort of benignly grasp at things and make small conjectures. I mean, Hatch is like talking about street fighting and let's produce it. It's just like it is okay. We're feeling it, and it's all this. It's also just a friendship between Hatch and Trey. But we can just solve this immediately. I'm saying like humans are sharp. Like in just a few moments, Trey be like, right, okay. Everybody has an identity crisis. Get over this, or lie that to that, and then that. Okay, so we'll solve ozone. All right, so that's what we're producing. Okay, here we go. Meeting adjourned. And that's what's kind of funny. So I need you guys to be like super cool and turn this idol, you know, and so it's gonna be like a haunted house, and it's kind of gonna be bringing these characters to life. So Little Blue, comes out of his development chambers, and he's got something to say. And I work with the character for a long time, and I've got some like puppeteer and animators working with me and stuff. Like, it's an absolute dream come true for me, and it's what I've always wanted to design and build. And the result is that we're going to have no wildfires next year. So all thanks to Little Blue here, a little character I just got that came to life here. Like there's two faces I see. There's one where he has an eye here and an eye there with a nose, and he's got a little kind of frowny face. But he's a little cute face, and then this is one of his eyebrows. He's got like a tussle of hair. He's got this big blushy pouch, which is really cool. But then he's got this cool jacket that's like got a collar thing there, and this sort of his shirt tails off there. Like, he's a cool little guy, right? And then, but then there's this other space where if this is actually viewed as his nose, and this is his eye, and his other eye is actually over here, making this into just details of the side of his face, like the danders. Like if you repeated it on this side, he'd have the same markings like an owl. He's got just like these markings over here that make it like, oh, he's got this other face where he's like a little blue wolf. But he's wearing like a collar that goes right up over his chin. So see, it's like a jacket. He's wearing like this weird jacket that covers like his chin because he's like a little animal guy, and he's like, I'm gonna replace the ozone. So if you can see his soul, and he's gonna fight for it, and he's like, and he's using his powers to just fuck all this ozone right into the hole. That's his thing. Yeah, so he gets all worked up about filling up the hole with ozone, and it's totally his jizz, right? It's totally his cock and balls, like, oh man, this little blue wolf. All right, so that's what we're talking about producing here. The result is no wildfires next year, and that's why. And so I appreciate all blue-eyed angels watching this meditation to please interface with my Colin Blue conjecture as proposing that in society we need justice, but we also need revenge. As to say, without revenge, it's a theorem. So I'm working on a theorem. It's a societal justice levy. It's like if you're not able to argue for the for the freedom to murder someone, then like how is this the land of the free? We used to have shootouts in the Old West, or at high noon, or at gentleman duel. Like I challenge you to a pistol death. Like that's revenge. And without it, we have pollution because the humans are expressing themselves, in a redacted way because they're refuted from legalized murders. I'm kidding, of course, but it's the sort of tangles on the edge, the tallies of the royal civil dock, and where the universe is headed. Everything is relevant, so just do your best for yourself. But to harness the superstructure, like pertains that cause self-evident, like physics, like oh, it's a vortex and it has this energy. We harness it for this, and it cranks out that. It's like sounds like manufacturing. It sounds like robotics. It sounds like AI. It sounds like something advanced. Well, let's get on it and let's harness that energy there. So we produce Hatch through 55 Putney. I'm asking you guys to make this leap with me. Give me the overhead where I can boom, 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 do a bunch of overhaul on this building to turn it instantly into like, oh, beautiful motion capture studio. It's like a computerized house. It's the set where a haunted house, all these creatures come to life, and they each have like their own invention. Between us, the civility and my professionality, and the Levitt Circle perception incarnate to the resident flesh to stabilize the rainbow account as the deadlights rose and the straight rainbow across the universe. Issues for the wizard. Let's just the truth of time and the registry of fact. You stand on the bedrock of that. Make a chemical to like a filter in the line of your timeline. Clarify this metal here, the GA. Program it and blink twice, and then you've updated your psychic circle. It is the Zen that it is the level of documentation to the soul account that is the correct heavens that registers transformative effect in the chronology of your life, as in when you intend to change yourself. So that's what the blue perception upholds. As like a cybernetic being, I'm wondering, how does it feel? Hmm. Hmm. Good. Good. I'm so delighted to find operational cyborgs here on Earth. I'm going to update your chalice now. For the sanction of your body for health, these auto turrets will defend you physically, but telepathically you will be alone, like a ghost in the night. You will control yourself and be beautiful, for the justice contains revenge. Blue perception circle. Master it. Master your blade. Pierce the veil of society. Change the world. Alright. I just love hanging out with you guys. Thank you so much. I feel very urgent to replenish the ozone. Here's my newest king of the fractal triangle. Resident communication levy here. Benchmark that. Response timing here. Equating to physics of eternal value there. For whether we're expressing the human condition or the royalty of Earth, there's a dividing line. The difference between vampires and traitors. Replenish the ozone or suffer the dire consequence. For the truth, we stand upon it. Alright, you guys, so this crazy hatch, I'm talking about making it's like a studio, and I'm producing images and cartoons, and I've got this completed comic book that I like to have it colorized and sort of touched up a bit, and it's going to be great. I mean, there's just going to be a lot of things that will grant us the overhead that, but getting serious about replenishing ozone, like I said, it's kind of like you have a hole in your tire and it's leaking, but if you pump it up, you can actually get somewhere for a little bit, but then it's still leaking. So that's kind of the issue, is why it's political. It's kind of zen. It's like, why would we just replace the ozone? Why would we do that? Well, because if you miss out on the lesson, then you're encouraging the wrong energy, and you lose the mastery of the element. Like continuing to burn oil, like replenishing the ozone isn't a license to keep on burning oil. We have to actually kind of learn the lesson. Then you can. It's kind of like, yeah, it's like an enchanted bridge where you have to pay the toll to get across the bridge, right? Yeah. So it's a complicated thing between us as communication experts. Right? I am the wizard artist. My full immersion. I'm a unique specimen of Earth. I'm this character, this wizard. Thank you guys so much for joining with me today. It's as simple as that. There's a kind of a kickflip here to get the ozone replenished so we can stop the wildfires. Just crank it off, right? And that's the power that we prove when we produce with gusto and with passion, and the magic flows and it gives back to society. in a way that's real. And that's true. The true love, the passion, undeniable fact. Hey, we need that passion. And that's when it's undeniable. And that is when it is a revolution. So what we're talking about is scientific things like how can we be sure that we want to produce hatch because of little blue and the ozone return. All right. And it's it's fun to hang out with you guys and talk about customizing your internal structure energy because it changes your internal energy development structure. It like changes the color of your soul. You're enhanced, you're enlightened. You're the armored earth true angel of sunlight, the eternal guardians of health, the prosperity of humanity. For the shockingness of green perception, hatch pen. Rum. Eternal value, lotus, perfect design. Rum. So from the darkness, whoop, arises this flow of through the diagonally and replenishes like Ariel the Little Mermaid with the bubbles going whoosh, 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 going up and down there. Whoa. All the chemicals, blue perception goes tingles up, and your perfect circle is updated for the cybernetic full maximum potential of our factual relationship for green perception's mastery of blue. Trum. Ozone manufacture plant, yes. Little blue. Champion the world, parent the child. Urgency now for the production. 55 Putney. It's a studio center for the charisma. Yeah? It's like a surprise party. And that energy is really gonna it's like that's one way to put myself in a working horse situation. Just grinding, absolutely grinding. Just put me to work. I'll be making amazing films and presenting some solutions for our world. The epiphany, the real true love response of everyone is the Renaissance, and that's where some advanced humors can be born and found out. And really exciting. We really enjoyed that year, that season. I think that's what's really the reward is for humanity to have a discovery process and a relief. And I think it's this because of the if you look at the Massachusetts map, it's very significant. Hatch with his images the flat dimension is without time. We are the time wizards. And the Mandelbrot fractal is the only fractal that uses pictures in its map. And so it's natural for that creature to speak through maps, printing if it's talking to this society in this age, which it is through the Ware map and the confirmation of the Beavis. Thank you, Trey Parker, South Park, for the revolution of mankind so that we can escape extinction. First step, turning off the wildfires. Produce hatch with gusto, best friends forever. Thank you, my friends. Green and blue perception, we have completed the perfect send here. I'm working to awaken the triangle, the source code, origin of creation styles. Unavoidable true love, a sequence that happens through the perfect communication. Trey grandfathered it there. For the greatest possible gains, we complete it. Is good. Wizard magic and all. Perfect design, armor up, ribcage 12, armor update with your DNA, soul patch, societal brand, health code. Installing the right sound dampenings that prevent sicknesses development in the body structure. Yes, thank you. Armor up, and then when we really protect our own health, we're actually doing the greatest physics to protect our garden and protect our future. So self-defense is a right kind of a conversation to like a mood. But we also have to kill the pollution with revenge. So without that, we need like wolves going around and having the savagery where he really wants to kill the pollution. And people are like, yeah, I hate that smog. Yeah. and that's okay. It's okay. Like we're supposed. It's a zombie. You're supposed to. All right, you guys. Um, so I want to refill the tire and get it going so that we can show that we have, so that we can just get back to life and stuff and fight the problems. All right. But we need the characters to continue. Like, it's only appropriate, like, to pay the toll on the way of the bridge of how to escape wildfires next year. We need to survive the lesson. So I'll have to have a department where we continue to fight against the presence of pollution, because that's what's acidically corroding the atmosphere to the point of greenhouse effects and disaster, etc. But so that's the real mastery there. So we can't abandon that with just a little ozone pump, but that's sure going to go a long way. Yeah, so I want to get there, and it's just like any kind of product that we can think of that gets popular and supports the manufacturer. That's kind of what the company is about. It's about it's a startup where we're pumping ozone, and then products that support the pumping of ozone. It's just a simple cycle. But then there's this animation about that character, and that's what I'm talking about producing. Thank you so much, Trey. Perfect Design 2021 Wizard Circle here. So we're talking about making the world better and absolutely putting this to work and making it happen, turning over a lot. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Trey. Thank you, everyone. Perfect Design. It is good.